What's up, guys? Coming at you again with some rapid fire reviews today. I got a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm going to jump right into it with my mid-November Roundup. I'm going to start with Stranger Things Season 2. I was thinking about doing a whole video about this, but I figured the whole internet is kind of saturated with a lot of content about Stranger Things, and I really don't have much original to say that you probably haven't already heard a million times. I liked it a lot on the whole. I didn't like it quite as much as the first season, but the first season is amazing, so it was always going to be hard to live up to that. But I still liked it quite a bit. It's really nice. The acting is really nice. I'll say a couple of things about some of the new characters. Max and her brother, I didn't really buy. They were the only part of the new season that I was kind of like, I could do without them. I didn't see much of a point to them. Also, I have to reference, I think it's episode 7, whatever the one is where Elle goes off and does the thing. Everyone knows. Everyone is talking about how that episode sucks and it's unnecessary, so that's not new. We all know that, but didn't like that episode. At the end of the episode, they're in the same place as they were at the beginning, and so nothing changes and it's pointless. Those are really the only negative things I have to say. Bob, I liked a lot. I thought he was a really nice new character, and I think the thing that made him different was that he changed something. His dynamic added to the Byers family changed it and made it different, and he actually had consequence. And I just love Sean Astin. Really nice performance, really great character. Also, I will say that I'm really glad that we got to see more of Will this season, because although the first season is kind of about him, we basically don't get to see him at all. And it turns out he's an amazing actor. He was really, really great in this season. I liked everything that he was doing, even though it was all like very high stress and high energy. I bought it. I thought he was really, really good. And then just briefly about the end of the season, I thought it was wrapped up really quick, but it didn't bother me. At the same time, I found it really satisfying when Elle is like closing the gate or whatever, and she like lifts up off the ground. It was great. It got me really hyped, despite the fact that it kind of was just like, boom, there we go, it's done. So I was satisfied with the end, albeit that it was a little bit quick. So Stranger Things Season 2, really, really great. Everybody's already watched it probably, but if you haven't, go watch it, it's awesome. Moving on, I'm going to talk about the new Blitzen Trapper album, Wild and Reckless. Blitzen Trapper is a kind of folk rocky kind of band that has been around for a long time. I am not familiar with the Blitzen Trapper catalog from start to finish. I've only listened to a little bit of them. I actually got introduced to them in high school by one of my teachers, which was kind of funny. But the album that I had on my iPod when I was in high school, because that's how you listen to music like 10 years ago, was Fur from 2008. So I know that album really, really well, and I listened to it over and over again, but a lot of their other stuff I'm not super familiar with. But I decided to give this album a try. It's really good. I like it a lot. It's very like folk rocky. And again, I'm not really familiar with what they've been doing for the past couple of years, so I'm just kind of comparing it to Fur. But it's definitely less folk and gone more in the direction of rock. There's a lot of classic rock influences that can be found in this. The title track, for example, Wild and Reckless, almost sounds like a Who song. And at first listen, I was a little bit like, oh, maybe this is kind of cheesy. But then the more I listened to it, it really rocks pretty hard. I do like this album a lot. There's also some crazy chances that they take with like some kind of dreamy effects, and it's almost like Coldplay-ish type stuff on a song or two. I don't think those are as successful. I'm not crazy about those songs. I think it's the track No Man's Land. Not crazy about it. There's another track like at the end of the album, but they're taking chances. They're doing interesting things. I think the back half of the album overall is more successful. There's the track Dance With Me is just a jam. That's probably my favorite track on the album. It rocks super hard. It's really, really fun. I will say I'm slightly disappointed because there's only one really true kind of tender folk ballad on the album, and it's a song called Joanna that I'm really not sure how I feel about. Musically it's okay, but the lyrics are really weird. It's told from the point of view of like a young girl, and then it also just ends out of nowhere. Like there's no ending to the song. So there's a couple of missteps in this album. It's a little give or take, but some of the tracks on it are super, super solid. If you're into that kind of stuff, I would recommend Good Old War is a folk rock group that I feel like doesn't get a lot of love. Also Frontier Ruckus, specifically their early stuff, if you're into that kind of folksy rock type stuff. Moving right along, I'm going to talk about a really disappointing movie that I saw on Netflix the other day called 1922. It's a horror movie based on a Stephen King novella. It's getting good reviews. It was supposed to be good, and it looked kind of cool. So I watched it the other day, and it's really just kind of dull. I'll go through my 4 points on it really quick. The viewing experience was boring. The main thing I got out of it was just that men are terrifying. I was just it's just a movie about a terrible, scary guy who ultimately, I guess, gets what's coming to him. But it was really dull for how like gruesome and like cagey it tried to be. It ended up being remarkably unremarkable. So what's next? Is it original? No. It's just a period horror flick. The acting, man, the acting is also really give or take. The son is like not good at all. Neither is the mom. The mom's not in very much of it. The main guy is okay. He had a couple of affectations that kind of annoyed me, but he's good. But the son is just he had no problem at all murdering his own mother. It really, I never saw it like affect him really in any significant way. And then the last thing, the cinematography was good. It looked good for sure, and it had some nice music. So I guess the aesthetics were the best part about it. But 1922, skip it unless you're a total horror nerd. It's very dull, not very good. And then the last thing I want to talk about real quick, American Vandal. I just finished. It's a mockumentary TV series that just got released on Netflix. I'm a little bit late on it. I think it's like 2 or 3 months old, but loved it. It's incredible. It's one of it's maybe the TV show that has consistently made me laugh the hardest through the whole season. It's really hilarious because it's briefly it's about a kid who gets accused of spray painting a bunch of dicks on teachers' cars in the school parking lot because he's like the bad kid and everyone thinks he did it, but all the evidence is circumstantial and it turns out to not be him. And it's made through this whole mockumentary style where it's one of the other students making this documentary about him to try and like uncover the truth. And it's really well done. Some of the cinematography in this thing is like unreasonably good. Like it looks incredible. The acting is all amazing. All of these kids are so good at just being like high schoolers, just being like they feel like people you would really know. And at the same time as it is laugh out loud hilarious, it also says some really genuinely good thought-provoking things about the way that our school system works and the way that we treat kids and put them in boxes. And then if you want to go even further and think about it even more kind of broadly about like the justice system and the way that character assassination works in our brains and how that's a logical fallacy that plagues our justice system. It's really fascinating. It's really, really great. It's only like 8 or 9 episodes. I think it's 8. So if you haven't watched it, go do it. I can't recommend it enough. It's hilarious and really good. So yeah, that's all I got for today. That was pretty rapid fire. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to do another movie review later today, so I'll be back with something a little bit longer and with some better stuff to say in a sec. All right, bye.